أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما ربي زدني علما ربي زدني علما. Assalamu alaikum dear students. Hope all of you will be fine and healthy, and yes, hope your Eid spent well. We didn't wish you Eid because in those days we didn't make videos, so Eid Mubarak to all of you. um, we can say the Guzri Hui Eid. Okay, so today the topic which we are going to study is the spread which we are going to study is spread 2.24, which is about the leaf and the water loss. Means in this spread we are going to study that how different plants are adapted to live in different areas. Mean how the desert plant adapted to live in desert areas, how the water plant adapted to live in water areas. Mean what are the features in those plants to make them able, make them mean to what adaptation they do in their bodies which allow them to live in that specific areas. Mean how water plant live in water, how desert plant live in desert. Okay, what are their adaptations, okay, what they do with their body which allow them to live in, why water plant cannot live in desert area, why deserted plant cannot live in the water. So we are going to study all these things in this video. Okay girls, we will also going to study about the water loss, that what will happen if the water has been lost to the leaves. So let's start.
Plants adapted to deserts. In this module, you will learn how plants adapt to deserts. This vacation, Sid and Alicia have come to visit a desert with their parents.
The desert is such a hot and dry place. It seems there is no water here.
Yes, but see, there still are plants around here. Kids, the deserts receive very little rainfall, because of which they have very little water, and that too very deep underground. In spite of such scarcity of water, deserts do have plants. Are you wondering how these plants survive in deserts? Cactus, palm, and acacia are the most common plants found in deserts. These desert plants have special adaptations, which help them to survive in such dry conditions of a desert. Let's discuss these adaptations by considering the example of a cactus plant. A cactus plant has a thick green stem. The thick stem stores water in it when water is available. This stored water helps the plant to survive when water is not available. In addition, the stems also have a waxy coating, which prevents the loss of water from them. You can also notice that a cactus has no leaves. Actually, the leaves in cactus are reduced to spines. This is an adaptation of this plant to prevent the loss of water that occurs through the pores in the leaves, called stomata. Since a cactus has no leaves, it carries out photosynthesis with its green stem. So, the food for the cactus plant is made in its green stem. Just like stem and leaves, the roots of the cactus are also adapted to the desert. The roots are spread out wide and deep into the ground. This helps the plants to absorb more and more water from the ground. With the help of all these adaptations, a cactus survives in deserts. In the same way, other desert plants are also adapted to the environment. Let's recap. Desert plants have some special adaptations that help them to survive in the dry conditions of the desert. A cactus plant is adapted to the desert by having a thick and green stem to store water, a waxy coating on stem to prevent loss of water, leaves that are reduced to spines to prevent loss of water through stomata, The roots are spread out wide and deep into the ground to absorb more and more water.
So girls, here you can see, you watched the video, you studied about the cactus, that how cactus is adapted to the desert area, okay, to the desert life, okay. So in cactus there are different adaptations which allow them to live in the desert area. First of all, the stem, okay. So the stem is thick, okay, the stem is green and thick. So because of its greenish in color, the photosynthesis occurs in the stem, and the stem is thick. So in the stem the water is stored, mean the water is stored for the future use, okay. Cactus use a very little amount of water because it is a desert plant, and the water that it use, it is stored in the stem for future use, okay. Whenever cactus need water and there is no water in the desert area, so stem will provide the water to the cactus, okay. And here you can see thick green stem. So what does green mean that it is green in color, so it has it do contain the chlorophyll, and as it contains chlorophyll, so it will carry out photosynthesis. So the cactus carry out photosynthesis to the through the stem, because in the stem it is greenish color, it contain chlorophyll, so it helps in photosynthesis. Now you can see the spines in this cactus, the small structures, okay. So these spines are the we can say the reduced form of the leaves, mean that cactus it is adapted to the desert life by reducing the leaf into the spine, or we can say by replacing the leaves into the spine. Why? Because as we know that on the leaves the stomatas are present, okay, on the lower surface, on the upper surface. So these tomatoes are responsible for the water loss. We studied the transpiration, that if the temperature is too much, so transpiration occurs from the upper surface of the leaf through stomata, and then transpiration pool develops, and from the roots the water is reabsorbed and it is then carried out to all part of the plant. But as we know that there is not that much water in the soil of the desert areas, so the cactus is not the cactus cannot bear such type of condition to make leaves, and then stomata will lose the water, and then cactus will absorb it from the soil. There is water in the soil but very little amount of water, so cactus cannot bear this, okay. So that is why the leaves of the cactus is converted, or we can say replaced, or we can say reduced into the spine like structure, into the spines, okay. And once it is converted into spines, so it means there is no stomata on the spines, so no transpiration or water loss will happen to the stomata. So in this way the water loss is reduced. So water loss is reduced, it means that the water that is present inside the cactus, it will be inside the cactus for its use, and it will not evaporate, it will not transpire by the cactus body, okay. In your book they are saying that green stem carry out photosynthesis. We already discussed this, that yes, green plants carry out photosynthesis because they have chlorophyll, okay. Leaves are reduced to spine to reduce surface area for the water loss. Yes, I'm studying this from your spread, okay, the cactus diagram. So in the cactus diagram they label the different part. So first they showed that how the stem is green in color, so they carry out photosynthesis. Secondly, they show the spines, that the leaves are reduced to spines so that the surface area, obviously the surface area of the leaf is too much, okay. The leaf is broad in structure, so as long as the structure of the leaf is long, so it means that a lot of stomata are present in the leaf. So if there's a lot of stomata will be present, so it means the photosynthesis will take the transpiration will take place in the large amount, okay. So that is why the leaves are reduced into spines, so the water loss will be minimized up to very much extent, okay. Secondly, they are saying that stomata are sunk into the groove to avoid drying winch, mean that stomata do present because they do need the exchange of gases, okay, for photosynthesis. So they are saying that the stomatas are inside, they are covered, okay, they are inside the stem, so they won't allow the drying of the cactus, mean it matlab reduce the water loss. Okay, it is not present in the leaf surface, it is present in the stem inside, at inner side. Okay, and whenever it need the water, whenever it need the gas, so it will little bit open and will capture the gas. And if there is excess of the gas like carbon dioxide or oxygen not needed by it, so it will excrete it. Okay, so excess of gases will be excrete, or we can say the gases will be inhaled by the outer environment into the cactus through the stomata, but inside the stem. Okay, so the stomata are present inside the stem, so it won't allow the transpiration or the water loss. Okay, girls. Another thing that the cactus has very broad roots, deep roots. Okay, very deep roots. The roots of the cactus are penetrated to the soil too much that it allows to absorb water from the deep soil. Okay, so these are the adaptation of the cactus to the desert life. Clear, girls? So we discussed that cactus is adapted to desert life. How? First thing, that the stem is greenish in color, so photosynthesis occurs to stem. Second thing, that on the stem the stomata are present but it is covered, so whenever exchange of gases is needed, so the stomata is a little bit open for the exchange of gases, but no transpiration will take place. On the upper surface of the stem there is a waxy cuticle, so it reduces the water loss. Mean waxy cuticle like a covering, like a layer on the stem, so it won't allow the removal of water. Okay, it reduces the loss of water. In the stem the water is stored for the future use, so whenever the cactus need water, it can take it from the stems. The leaves are reduced into the spines, so the surface area will be reduced and there will be no stomata on the leaves. So in this way the water loss, or we can say transpiration, is minimized. So and yes, the roots are very deep into the soil, so it can absorb water from deep soil. So in this way the cactus, the dry plants, or we can say the desert plant, are adapted to the desert life. Clear, girls? So this was all about the desert plant, the dry plants. Now we studied about the dry plants, or we can say the desert plants. Now it's time for the hydrophytes. Okay, hydrophytes mean the uh, plant, the water plant. The desert plant or the dry plants are known as xerophytes. Okay, Xero, and phytes mean plants. So xerophytes are the plants of the dry area, or we can say the desert area. Clear, girls? And hydrophytes mean the plants of the water. Hydro mean water and phytes mean plant. So hydrophytes mean the plants of water. Okay, so now we will study that how water plant are adapted to the water. So you can see in this image that the leaves of the water plant are too much expanded. Why? Because there is a lot of water in the water plants. Mean obviously the water is living in the, or on the water. Mean water के surface पे रह रहे हैं या water के अंदर रह रहे हैं. Mean the plant that live inside the water. Clear? Or the plant that lives at the surface of the water. So their leaves are very broad. Why? First thing, that they have a lot of water, so there are a lot of stomata present on their leaves, so they don't have problem in transpiring the water. Mean अगर water evaporate भी हो जाएगा, so they don't have problem, because they live in the water, they live on the water, so they can take water whenever they need. Okay, so their leaves are very broad, because a lot of stomata are present for the exchange of gases and for transpiration of water. Secondly, their leaves and their stem are also very broad, because are very light, hollow means they have space in their structures. For example, the sparrows, the sparrows, their wings, in the wings the bones are hollow mean here you can see a pipe, and when you see inside the pipe is empty. pipe में कुछ नहीं होता. Okay, so same is the case with the bones of the birds, the wings. Okay, inside the wings the bones are hollow mean hollow spaces, खाली spaces होती हैं, because this hollow spaces make the bones of the birds weak. the bones of the wings. Okay, मीन birds के जो wings होते हैं उसको weak वो कर देता है, light कर देता है. So as the wings are light, so that they are easily able to fly, mean the wings are light and hollow, the bones of the wings are light and hollow, so they can easily fly, okay, because their wings are light. Similarly, the stem, here you can see this is a lotus plant, okay, and the water lily as well, both of them are here in this picture. So the water lily and the lotus, their stem and their leaves are hollow in nature. So because of this hollow in nature, it makes that leaf or the stem very light, mean light सा हो जाता है, ठीक है ना. So it can easily float on the surface of the water, mean वो पानी में गिरता नहीं है because it is light in the weight ना. So that is why it can easily float on the surface of the water and it doesn't dump inside the water. Okay, so the first adaptation is that the structure of the water leaves, the water plants are their leaves are very expanded, they have a lot of stomata, they have no problem in loss of water, in transpiring the water, because they can take water from the from where they live in the water. So their leaf structure is very expanded, they have a lot of stomata on the upper surface, mean mostly the leaf have stomata in the lower surface we studied now, but in the water plant the stomatas are present on the upper surface because they don't have any problem in transpiring the water. So that is why a lot of stomata are present on the upper surface of the leaf of the water plant. Clear, girls? So their adaptations are, they have expanded leaves, they have large surface leaf. In the desert plant their leaves were small surface leaf, they have no leaves, they have spines, okay, their leaves are reduced. But in the water plants they have large surface leaves, they have expanded leaves, they have a lot of stomata on the upper surface of the leaves, okay, and their leaves and stems are hollow, mean they are very light in nature, so they are easily float, they can easily float on the surface of the water, they do not dump inside the water. Okay, some plants do live inside the water, so inside the water they have their own adaptation, but water lily and lotus they live on the surface of the water, so they have their own adaptation. So let's see the video.
Students, you might have seen lotus floating in ponds and lakes. These plants show various adaptations to live in water. Lotus plants have long and hollow stem, which attaches the plant to the base of the pond. Roots are short. Leaves are wide and disc-shaped, thus helps the plant to float on the water surface. Some aquatic plants remain submerged in the water. For example, hydrilla.
So girls, here they said that the lotus plant have hollow stem, hollow stem to attach them to the pond, mean जो ये आपको stem नजर आ रही है ना, the stem that is visible, it is inside the water, is attached to the pond, mean it is a we can say the support for this lotus to stand in the water. Okay, so ये stem हमारे पास नीचे water में गया होता है और उसने खुद को attach किया होता है. Clear, girls? Secondly, the leaf is expanded, so it allowed them to float, मतलब कि वो water पे float करे, गिरे नहीं, ठीक है ना. So it is also light in weight, so it won't dump into the water. Clear, girls? mean buoyancy provide करते हैं, buoyancy mean allow the very light weight, so it allowed the plant to flow on the water rather than to dump inside the water. Clear, girls? um, and they have a hollow stem to attach into the pond, so in this way the lotus or the water lily are able to withstand inside the water or on the water. Clear, girls? So this was about the aquatic plant and the desert plant, that how desert and aquatic plant are adapted to their environment. Clear, girls? So here these are the diagrams from your books, so you can see the cactus, that how you can see here the deep roots, they make them adapted to absorb water. Here you can see the deep roots. Okay girls, so these deep roots are adapted for what, to absorb water from deep soil. Clear girls? The the stomata on the stem, so inside the stem, so it won't allow the transpiration of the water whenever need exchange of gases, so it will be open. The spines you can see, so the leaf are reduced to spines, so the surface area for the water is very little, mean water loss is very minimized. The green stem carry out photosynthesis. Swollen stem, mean the stem is a little bit swollen. Okay, so it allows to store the water. Why it is swollen? Because the water is stored in it. Okay, there is a space for the water to store, so the swollen stem store water inside the stem. So in this way, whenever the cactus plant need water, so it can take water from the stem. And the plant that live in the hot dry environment, or we can say the desert environment, they are known as xerophytes. Clear girls? So this was all about the cactus. Then we studied about the hydrophytes, or we can say the aquatic plants. So here you can see they are saying a very little little lignin in the xylem, since the leaf is supported by the water, mean they are saying that they have a very little xylem, that not that much xylem, because they do not need that much water. Okay, and if they need water, so xylem is there inside the water leaves. So we know the transportation of water obviously taken place through the xylem. So they are saying that xylem is present in the water plant as well, to support or to give them a water, or to provide them water. Clear girls? A very thin cuticle, since water conservation is not a problem, mean हमने पढ़ा था that on the surface of the leaf there is a waxy cuticle. Okay, on the surface of the stem as well as a waxy cuticle in the dry areas. But in the aquatic plant there is a very thin cuticle, मतलब बहुत पतली सी cuticle होती है, बहुत पतली सी skin होती है. Why? Because they do not need a thick cuticle to prevent water loss, because the water loss is not problem in the water plants. Clear girls? So they have a very thin cuticle. Clear? Stomata on the upper surface to allow carbon dioxide uptake from the atmosphere, मीन के स्टोमेटा हमारे पास अपर सरफेस पे होते हैं, लोअर सरफेस पे नहीं होते. अपर सरफेस पे mean they don't have any problem to lose water, so that is why the stomata are present on the upper surface. So exchange of gases takes place through the upper surface from the stomata, because if transpiration occurs, if evaporation occurs, they don't have problem. And those plant which lives in the water, they are known as hydrophytes. Now come toward the wilting or water leaf fall. Mean what is meant by wilting? Wilting is mean when there is no water or shortage of water in the plant. So in this way you can see that the plants start wilting, वो जो मुड़ना start हो जाते हैं, they start drying out. You can see in the autumn season that that there is not that much water available, or they are seasonal plants. Okay, so what happened, their leaves start changing their color from greenish to yellow and yellowish to orange. Okay, मीन ग्रीन कलर होते हैं, दे आर जब ग्रीन होते हैं, दे आर लिविंग, दे आर फ्रेश प्लांट्स. ओके, बट देन दे स्टार्ट विल्टिंग, then they start losing water and start changing into different colors. First of all change into yellow, and then orange, or sometimes red and brown. And then they become so brittle, so hard, that when we can say जब हम हाथ में लेते हैं, so they crushed very easily, because they are too much dried out, that there is no water inside the leaf, so they can easily crushed dry out. Okay, so here you can see when the water is in short supply, when water is in short supply, plant reduce water loss. Okay, wilting क्या होता है? Wilting, leaves collapse our stomata close to reduce heat absorption and evaporation and diffusion of water. Here sorry guys. So let me start from the start. When water is short supply, okay, मीन जब water बहुत कम होता है, so plant may reduce water loss by. So how plant can reduce water loss, मतलब वो कैसे जो है तो पानी को reduce करने से खुद को बचा सकता है. ठीक है ना? First thing is wilting. विल्टिंग इज द कोलैप्सिंग, विल्टिंग इज द टर्निंग आउट ऑफ द लीफ, मीन वो खुद को फोल्ड कर लेता है. ओके, विल्टिंग इज द लीफ कोलैप्स एंड स्टोमेटा आर क्लोज टू रिड्यूस हीट एब्सॉर्प्शन एंड एवापोरेशन. मीन कि जो लीव्स होते हैं दे कोलैप्स और वी कैन से दे टर्न इनटू ईच एंड अदर एंड द स्टोमेटा आर आल्सो क्लोज. सो इन दिस वे द exchange of gases also stop, the evaporation of water also stop, the diffusion of water also stop. means जब स्टोमेटा बंद हो जाएगा तो हर चीज का आना जाना बंद. clear? so wilting helps in closing the stomata, in turning the leaves. clear girls? then leaf fall in very severe condition, for example when water is frozen during winter. जब सर्दी हो जाती है so water is become too much cold that it become frozen in the plants. okay, plant के लीव में जो है वाटर फ्रोज हो जाता है. सो इफ द वाटर इज फ्रोजन इट वॉन्ट फ्लो इन द लीव्स. ओके, वो फ्लो नहीं कर पाता. प्लांट अलाउ द लीव्स टू फॉल ऑफ सो दैट नो वाटर लॉस कैन अकर. मतलब ये है कि हमारे पास प्लांट में लीफ फ्रोज हो जा सॉरी वाटर फ्रोज हो जाता है, द वाटर बिकम फ्रोजन. ओके, so already the water is very little inside the plant because the water is present but it is present in the frozen part, frozen condition. okay, तो वो प्लांट को मिल नहीं रहा तो प्लांट क्या कर लेता है, इट फॉल ऑफ द लीव. मतलब वो खुद से लीव्स को अलग कर देता है कि चलो लीव्स तो खुद से हटा ले, ट्रांसपायरेशन तो नहीं होगी, कम अज़ कम जो वाटर प्रेजेंट है वो प्लांट के अपनी बॉडी के लिए प्रेजेंट होगा, लीव को नहीं मिलेगा. ठीक है ना. सो इन विंटर सीजन द प्लांट अलाउ द लीव्स टू फॉल ऑफ so that no water loss can occur, no photosynthesis can take place, but the plant can remove chlorophyll from the leaves for the storage before allowing the leaves to fall. mean कि the plant fall of the leaf को गिरा देता है. वाई? टू रिड्यूस द वाटर लॉस बाय ट्रांसपायरेशन बाय इवेपोरेशन. क्लियर गर्ल्स? एंड जो फोटोसिंथेसिस है वो भी स्टॉप हो जाएगी बिकॉज लीव्स पे हमारे पास टोमेटा है, क्लोरोफिल है. बट दे आर सेइंग दैट द क्लोरोफिल दैट इज प्रेजेंट इनसाइड द लीव, द प्लांट एब्जॉर्ब दिस क्लोरोफिल इनटू इट्स बॉडी एंड देन फॉल ऑफ द लीव. और फिर जब न्यू लीव्स बनते हैं तो वो क्लोरोफिल उन लीव्स को दे देते हैं, उन लीव्स में डिलीवर कर देते हैं. क्लियर गर्ल्स? सो इस तरह जो है तो जब पानी की बहुत कमी हो जाती है व्हेन देयर इज़ टू मच शॉर्टेज ऑफ द वाटर, सो थ्रू विल्टिंग और थ्रू लीफ फॉल जो प्लांट है वो खुद को पानी की कमी से बचा सकता है. मतलब लीव्स को जो है गिरा देता है, विल्टिंग कर लेता है. तो इस तरह हमारे पास क्या होता है, जो पानी होता है वो प्लांट बॉडी में ही रहता है. लीव्स तो प्लांट दोबारा बना लेगा. क्लियर गर्ल्स? विल्टिंग से जो है दोबारा प्लांट खुद को जो है तो रीविल्ट कर देगा, मतलब फिर से सीधा कर देगा. लेकिन अगर वाटर लॉस हो गया तो प्लांट तो डाई हो जाएगा. क्लियर गर्ल्स? सो खुद को डाई होने से बचाने के लिए ये क्या कर लेता है, लीफ फॉल कर लेता है. मतलब अपने आप से अपनी बॉडी से लीव्स गिरा देता है ताकि जो है पानी लॉस ना हो सके, वाटर लॉस ना हो सके फ्रॉम द लीव्स. क्लियर गर्ल्स? एंड फिर जब देर इज़ excess of water और there is enough water they rebuild the leaves और जो क्लोरोफिल है वो फिर से लीव्स में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर देता है. क्लियर गर्ल्स? और इसी तरह विल्टिंग भी है कि जब प्लांट मुड़ जाता है, लीव्स मुड़ जाते हैं, ठीक है ना, अगर फिर प्लांट को दोबारा पानी मिल जाता है, अच्छा खासा पानी मिल जाता है तो फिर से जो है लीव्स खुल जाते हैं. So wilting and leaf fall is a process when there is a shortage of water in the plant. So they do these two processes to minimize the water loss. Clear girls? So in this spread we studied about the cactus, the xerophytes, the hydrophytes and how plant reduce water loss by wilting and by leaf fall. So girls, I also make the questions in the work from home project from this spread. So we discussed this spread and now you are able to solve those questions related to this spread. Still you have if you have any problem, so you can ask me a question in the chat box. I will try to resolve your issues. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.